the podcast.
How good do you want your life to be?
It's truly about becoming the best version of yourself that's possible.
This is Man vs. Marriage,
The podcast.
Ta-da.
There we go.
Good. That was great.
Yeah.
It's funny because every
thank
time I
you.
talk about the story of leaving, I get so worked up. Like yes, it was such a difficult time in our life. And I mean, up until recently, it's hard for me to talk about it, which is funny because I'm not usually like that, but only on that subject.
I understand that.
Yeah. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of things, once I said leaving everyone we know and everything we know, that's where I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
when you think about it, I mean the night before we left California, my mother and my sister and my nephew came over, and it was one of the most brutal nights,
Oh.
in memory, because it's not that we were saying goodbye forever, but
It felt like it. It feels
Yeah.
like it. It feels like this is the end. But it's funny because when I look back, that was the end of what we know. That was the end of the relationship we had up there, and the relationship, like how we lived our lives. Like you said, the holidays and all that. We always had the holidays. So all of that stopped, and it was going to be different from now on. We didn't know, but with looking back, it was a goodbye. So that's why we know. It's almost like we knew it was coming. Wow.
Yeah. And
But
then
it's all good. And but we don't know that. It's you're basically stepping out into the unknown and complete trust. It's like I had 100% trust in God, but also my husband. I'm like, I guess he's going to do okay financially. I guess worst case, I told him, worst case, we're going to move in with your mother-in-law, with my mother-in-law, with his mom. And so I thought, okay, I have a backup plan. But at the same time, I'm like, he is going to bust his butt and he's going to make it work because he's not going to want to go move with his mom with all of us.
Yeah.
So I figured that was a good way. And he did.
I'm glad it's worked out,
Yeah.
and I'm glad things are going well, and really happy that somehow we found each other
Oh, 100%.
as families. So
100%.
Very-
So thank you. I have to tell you that normally I wouldn't have said yes to Sundays, but it was the title of your show made me laugh. And I'm like, oh, I got to go on that. I got to do that one. So I'm just going to tell you, that's the
Thank
only
you.
reason I said yes. I did.
I appreciate it, and
Yeah.
I feel so bad when she's like, she doesn't do the weekends, and I'm thinking, how in the world can we do the week because of how I travel for work? And I felt like I was being a really selfish kind of, but I guess I could have just taken a vacation day and done it that way to
Yeah.
accommodate you. So
But you know what?
apologies there.
It worked out. Like I said, it always works out. It was supposed to happen. And like I said, we got to talk twice. So why not?
We did. We did.
know?
We did.
I
That's
love it.
wonderful.
And then hopefully
Yeah.
I'll get my husband. I gotta get him on the Sunday. So he'll be fine. We'll work it out.
Well, like I say, maybe the next time I'll do
gonna-
what I can.
You're going to be off like October 10th, which is a Monday. So you do have a couple of days coming up where we have
Yeah.
appointments in the morning and you're going to be taking the day off. So we can always try and work around. He tries to take off time when we have to do medical appointments with some of the kids because
right.
our specials are too difficult for me to handle.
Sure.
So
Is that
there's
Columbus
always
Day?
I don't know.
It could be,
Monday the
but-
Columbus Day is
Well-
October 10th.
Okay, we'll play it by ear, and I will do everything I can to accommodate y'all the next time.
Just do it through me. So the company that's contacting you, we paid to. Do you know Command Your Brand? Have you worked with them?
I looked into them because I got there was another Cole Rogers with a School of Man. They had reached out to me, so I did a consult with them because I'm on the brink of like releasing my next podcast, and like
Okay.
this is my flagship podcast that is about Jeannie and I's story. It would make more sense
Sure.
if we were like celebrities and then going and telling our story, but when we
Well, that's how you become the celebrity sometimes.
well, I
Is
hope
telling your
it.
story.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the next level of this is going to be a show and a brand called Family Famous, and it's about men being famous in their home as opposed to chasing fame outside of the home.
Love that.
So we're working on that because that is one of the calls in my heart. And then eventually I love tattoos, if you couldn't tell. And so I'll be doing a podcast at some point about faith called Ink Pastor, like a play on Ink Master.
Nice.
So I feel called to that community, and it's a great community of people, and I want to reach them, for the cause of Christ.
Sure.
So I've been looking at how can I expand the platform, and at first it was like, let's do this for some financial freedom, and then I started getting emails from men that were separating from their wives, and it's like, the money doesn't matter. How do I make this platform bigger to save marriages?
Yes.
And,
No.
so, that I'm looking for something to, like a command your brand type thing, to expand. I mean, it's costly, but it's an investment, if you want to grow.
Yeah.
But you and I can work through each other if you want to do it that way. I have no problem at all.
Because I don't know what if it was the same. I don't know how they would work that. But I have to say they were very easy to work with. You tell them your target, and they're excellent. Like even when we were rescheduling this, I said, no, I could work with them to just schedule it separately. She's like, nope, I don't want you to do anything. So they were really good. They're excellent about keeping everything up to date, and really, really, I definitely do recommend them. It was costly, but I've met amazing people through it that I normally wouldn't have I didn't even know existed, so it really is worth it. But I appreciate that families, because one of my big issues, I think, is how men and marriage, just husbands, are seen in society right now, with the TV shows and how everyone makes fun of the guy. I just hate that.
Yeah.
I just, know, so it's like, why are men out there just, stand up and be the head of the household, and obviously in a healthy way. I don't mean it in a nasty way, but it just, it's a problem in society where marriage is looked down upon and the divorce rate is so high, and all of that is because it's so accepted, and it's been such an issue.
Buy a new model.
That's really why.
This one.
Yes, exactly. And so that's the problem. It's just like, it's not working. We grew apart. Like, no, no, there's more to it, and so that's what we really talk a lot about, especially even when we give talks at his event, which is all real estate people. But I'll go up there and just talk about how great marriage is. And,
there you go.
Everyone's married.
Awesome.
Like 99% of them are married with kids. I'm like, don't you want a happy home? And it's like, oh, I never really thought of that, So that's what we talk about.
I don't think people really consider that your marriage actually plays a huge part in how well your business does.
They don't.
Because if you're not happy at home, it's going to come out one way. I mean, it
comes out.
Only put up
you can't turn it off
for so long.
Sure.
But eventually something's going to come out and people are going to catch there's like a bitterness or an edge to something that you said. And then if you ever have to meet people as a couple, you're screwed. Mm-hmm. Because everyone's going to see it one way or another. There's only so much you can hide.
Yeah.
We jokingly call it my ticker tape.
100%. Yeah. No, it's so true. And and divorce is like, it's almost like, oh, it was good for the family. Oh, it was good for it. It's never good. We should probably stop saying that. Sometimes it's necessary. We can use the word necessary. I heard someone talk about this, is that, oh, it's better for the kids, or it's better for, and we put it at like a positive spin on it, but it's still devastating for everyone like we were talking about moving, everyone, because everyone's affected, the extended family and everyone. All of a sudden now it's like, all right, now we're going to see that person anymore, but sometimes we can use the word divorce was necessary, but it's never good, because it's still a lot of.
Absolutely.
I heard that and I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. I wish I heard that before, but
that's
because
so
for
well said.
A child to hear that it was better for him, meanwhile he's, torn up inside and doesn't know how to explain it, then that's what their idea of good is. Well, if this is good, I'm not getting married. If this is good, why even bother?
Yeah.
But if it was a necessary something that,
I think some people too, because of the way society has kind of coined it, now it's just acceptable. So when they're young and they're getting into relationships, like our kids, we're constantly like, no dating. Our rules were no dating until you're 16. And there were 3 major things that had to be in line: your chores and your behavior at home, your schoolwork, and your attitude. If your attitude towards us or anyone else is showing that you're not mature enough yet, then dating is not an option. But when they get into these young relationships, it's acceptable to be with someone for a short while and go, I just don't really think this is going to work anymore, and walk away. And they don't realize the impact you're having on someone. You know, it's not just you dating that person. You were dating their friends and their family. Like, this is a whole community that you're locking yourself into. And they don't realize until later the backlash. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be, because obviously everybody gets involved, but it's like moving.
Right.
You know, we made this decision because it was best for our family in general. Yeah. And other people are not going to be acceptable to that, but it's what's best for us. It's also what was necessary for us to move forward with our kids, for our kids to be able to have the life that they have. These huge plans. They want to be certain things in their life. We couldn't give that to them where we were. So we found a place that both of us, when we stepped off the plane to visit, it was like, oh, dude, this is where we need to be. It's the same way when Quincy and I started dating. We didn't know each other from Adam. We were thrown together by somebody as a Quincy thought it was a joke. Quincy honestly thought this guy it was a joke. He was being played. But we clicked so well that we never spent a day apart, and we were just friends from the time that we met until it was like, okay, this is my person. And when we started getting into, you know, what our commitment would be, the very first thing we said was, he comes from a divorced family. My parents probably should have been divorced at some point in their marriage. And they stuck it out. They figured things out. Just because I don't agree with how they fix things doesn't mean that it was wrong. That's their marriage. It's not my business to tell them how to do it. But both of us had to face divorce is not an option. Unless there are very specific boundaries that have been broken, this is not an option. We're going to do whatever it takes. That's how the podcast came about. That's how all this came about, was we finally just stepped up one day and we're like, okay, either we fix it or it's completely broken. Which one are we doing? Yeah. And since divorce is not an option, you know, we finally kind of took the place to get help. Yeah. But a lot of people now, it's like, well, it's just acceptable to walk away from it and find something new, because it can't be worse, that I need help.
Yeah. Because people go into it saying, well, if it doesn't work, we can just, you know what I mean? So you're going into something with, if it doesn't work, it doesn't have to last. And that you mentioned that if certain boundaries are crossed, and it's different for everybody, because I've known people that gone through marriages that, holy cow, when I hear about what happened and they're still together, I'm like, that's amazing. Like, I can't even, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know if I could be able to handle that, but they did somehow. But if you're going into a marriage with, you know, even as a Christian couple, you know, you're putting God first and all that stuff, and you want children and you're open to all that. And maybe there's like a 10% chance of marriage. A lot of people focus on that 10%. Well, what if? And then you go through a what if, and you're waiting for something to happen. And that's usually the problem. We're not focusing on most of your relationship is good. Yeah. Dating is an interesting topic in our family. I got to the point in my life where I'm like, if you're not ready for marriage, what exactly are you going to be doing?
There it is.
You know what I mean? What's the point? Can't you just go hang out with your friends? Can't you just go as friends? Why is it that you have my kids were very respectful and good about this. They were all into going out together as friends. And there was no issues for some reason. I don't know how, I don't know. That's great. That wasn't me, but it's amazing. I mean, I have one son, he's super respectful, you know, and he gets irritated when, you know, guys use women. He hates it. He doesn't understand it. He thinks it's horrible. And so I thought, well, that's a good example. He's a good kid. But when our children at, 14, 15 were going on dates, I'm like, what? For what? Why not just be friends? Go all together. You're just setting yourself up for really, really difficult times, you know, and which they're not supposed to be going through. Their hearts aren't supposed to be being ripped out at 15 years old. That's just not. That's right. That's not what it's about. And then you have then you're going into a marriage later on with, with maybe an issue or something in your past that's been, you know what I mean? So I think it's really a good conversation. And I don't really tell people that. I haven't really said it to a lot of people because they think I'm like way over the top. But
Nope, you're
what's
not.
the point
You're
of
not
dating?
though, because you're not
What's
trying
the
on a
point
pair
of
of
dating
shoes
if you're not ready to get married? Right.
Exactly.
You're not trying on a pair of shoes. I mean, we went through it, and both of us with all of our girls. I'm like, trust me, I've been here. Do not do this, because
Enjoy
in the
being
end,
friends.
you question yourself, and if it's something wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you. This just isn't the time for that. I'm super grateful that our teenage girls that are in high school now are just like, boys are just blech. That's like that's their personality is they're stinky, they're smelly, they're immature, you know, they're half of them are disrespectful. The other half might respect you, but they don't know enough about themselves to really hold a conversation with you.
Yeah.
So my girls are just kind of like meh. And I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to bed going, thank you.
I know.
I can't do this right now.
I know. And, you know, it goes back to the parents. It goes back to us because a lot of, and I'm going to say girls because that's usually the case, a lot of girls are looking for that attention. They're looking outside the home, maybe because they're not getting it. I'm not blaming parents. I'm really not. But a lot of girls just need that extra, you know, you look at the 5 love languages, they have one for kids. They actually have one for teens. So if you guys have teens, get the 5 love languages for teens, because it talks about how when the teenagers need a different type of love, especially from the dad. And so when that's lacking, they're going to be looking for it somewhere. And usually it's outside the home. It's usually with, you know, other guys that they know or kids or whatever. And so sometimes we have to remember that as parents. It's like our children need to be heard. So when they talk, we need to listen. And dads, you play a huge role in your daughter's lives. And we don't, you know, and we forget that. It's just that one-on-one time. It's, you know, my girls are never, ever too old to like hug dad. Like those long hugs. You know what I mean? It's so sweet. Our 23-year-old, when she comes home, she's a missionary. So when she comes home, my husband just can't, he just has to snuggle with her. And it's just so sweet. Like, I don't think they'll ever grow up. You know what I mean? I love it.
Yeah.
But that's what
Hopefully.
she is in need of. Yeah. So I just, you know, that's one of the things, dads, you have such a responsibility, and it's so great. And it's so beautiful, you know, and that's why when I talk about marriage and when I talk about husbands and their roles, you know, it's bigger than we think.
I totally agree.
And it's incredible.
We keep talking about, you know, society, and, you know, there's such a movement to demonize roles in life and marriage and relationships. And, you know, I kind of summed it up with the kids because we talk about culture and society and whatnot. And it's like, well, if somebody's going to break in the house, who are you naturally going to run to for protection? And then if you need nurturing or to talk or et cetera, who are you naturally going to run to? And there's no reason we should devalue that. Absolutely. It's something that we should honor, and it's something that we've worked hard to build. And like you say, the love languages for teens, we definitely did that, I think 2 years ago, because I've figured out several years ago that it's like, man, a dad can really change the mood at home when he comes home. I mean, really make it worse or make it a whole lot better. And so it's like, this is a healthy responsibility that I need to know. And when I come home, I'm intentional about a few things. And number one is mom gets the first hug and kiss, and they usually compete to get that hug first. But it's fun. They
break through the hug. They break through it. Yes.
Oh, they'll put their hand between our face so that he can't kiss me, or they'll start clawing at him, trying to pull him away. But he is a great example to them about what a husband is. And it's even been hard conversations where he's had to say, look, mom's my number one. I appreciate where you guys are coming from, but mom is number one. This is my forever. You're going to have your forever someday, and I'm not going to matter as much. And that's okay. That's the way it goes. But when they talk about guys that they're interested in, or, you know, boys at school, they're like, he's just not like dad. And that catches your attention because, you know, it's like, well, he talks to me this way, but dad usually talks to you differently. And they've noticed, like, we joke around because we have a thing called buzzwords. Quincy calls speed bump. Whenever, you know, as a mom, you have a million things going on. And then when they call and say, hey, honey, can you? It's like you just threw a freaking crater in the middle of my day, and now I can't reset. And it sounds silly to some people, but for me, it really does screw with me. So now he has to tell me, hey, I have a speed bump. And all it does is it tells me, okay, I need to take a minute, get away from what I'm doing, settle down, and listen before I go berserk and, hear him out. Because sometimes he'll tell me something, and before we had speed bump, it was just like, no, no, you're not getting involved in my routine. This is what's happening. and it starts fights, and it was stupid. So we figured this out, and my girls have caught that now. So when Sophie will text me something's going on at school, there's a change in routine or whatever, she'll be like, hey, so there's been a slight speed bump. It's like, oh, okay, cool. She knows my language. We're getting this. But I have to do the same thing with her.
Awesome.
It's like, okay, she's one that gets anxious real easy. So we have to tell her, okay, hold on. We have a shift happening. I need you to sit down. And it just, but they see him do that. And so it's become acceptable when you're going to talk to somebody and you're going to throw them through a wrench. They're like, okay, wait, hold on. And they know how to approach it. With him and his affection with me, they're very, very different. They don't mind that he holds my hand all the time. They always comment on how cute he is holding my hand when he drives and, things like that. They see affection as being acceptable rather than something of possession. It's a very different perception for them, but they also spoil him freaking rotten because he's a good dad. It's like they want to know when he's going to be home. They want to know when they can go to the gym with him. They want to know what's on his schedule so they could try to pencil in time. Like they are genuinely seeking him out for what they need. And he is very, very good at making sure to make time for all of them.
Well, thank you, honey.
And even if it's just a few minutes, I don't think some people realize how much impact just those few minutes can have. Like he goes to all of our youngest is in cross country, and all of us, including her, say it's the most boring sport ever, but she loves to run. He shows up and he screams at her from clear across the field, and we're like, I hope we're not annoying you. She's like, no, I actually appreciate knowing that he's there, because sometimes when she's running, you just kind of get in your own head and you start losing your momentum. But Dad's on the other side screaming at her, come on, you got one more step. You got one more step. Let's keep doing this. It's just, that's something that goes off in her head when she's doing these competitions and things at school with ROTC or whatever. She's like, I just hear Dad telling me, you got one more, you got one more, you got one more. It makes a difference. It really makes a difference. I'm more the person they come to when it's like, this person was such a turd, and this is what they told me, and I wanted to say this, and it's like, okay, you offload all that stuff on me, and I help them kind of sort through it. For him, it's the affection, it's the attaboys and the encouragement and the you're so beautiful. I could tell them they're pretty until they're blue in the face. They don't care. But if Dad comes in and says, wow, your makeup looks really good today, that's it. They're golden for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But if you and I say it, it's like,
it's so amazing. Oh, it's nothing. It sounds like the two of you, like through your marriage and through the effort that you put into it, they know what a good marriage looks like. And that's really an issue nowadays, is the average person doesn't know what that means. They don't know what a good marriage is. They don't know what sacrifice is. They don't know what a good father figure looks like. And so they get into a relationship. Most people aren't even getting married. They just live together and wonder why it doesn't work. But your family looks like, especially your girls, has a really amazing role model. And so I don't even know them. I've never met them, but something tells me they're going to choose their spouse very wisely. And isn't that what we want?
I think so.
You know,
I really think so.
And so, wow. I just want to say that the two of you, it's almost like you've created your own family language, which is pretty impressive as well. When your daughter is calling you and saying, hey, I hit a speed bump, she knows that, you know, Mom's there going to listen. She's not going to overreact because we're busy. We tend to do that at times, but that's pretty impressive. So I just want to tell you that the two of you are amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. That's what we're learning from. And we're learning from that because all your stories help me to say, oh my gosh, I need to whatever it is. I need to support my husband when he comes home, like little things like that. And that's why I appreciate the two of you out there talking about what you talk about, because that's really where we learn. We could state the facts, we could, give a seminar, but it's really through our storytelling and our experiences is how we really touch other people and how we change people's lives, because we remember stories more than anything.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I figure we better let you go soon, or we'll stay on the phone all afternoon or on the computer. I mean,
I know
it's been great to spend time with you. And it's great to learn more about your family, and thank you for listening, about our family as well.
Definitely.
And I definitely look forward to the next time, and I'll see you on the podcast. So
yes. Oh, yes. It's so funny because I'm like, I actually got through the fear of speaking, because as far as the podcast goes, I'm like, no one's listening. It's just me and my husband in the room, like the two of you in your room. Like, it's not a big deal. I could get over it. And then we were at one of his events, and this woman came up to me kind of quietly behind, in the crowd. And she kind of whispered to me, she went over my shoulder. She's like, I just want to tell you, I love your podcast. And I look at her, I'm like, I have no idea who this is. I've never seen her before. Why is she listening to me? How does she know anything about me?
Exactly.
And I kind of I got really freaked out. I'm like, people are hearing what I'm saying. I'm like, oh no. So then that was another obstacle. I'm like, all right, I have to get over. It's okay if I mess up. It's okay if I don't tell the story properly. You know what I mean? All the fears we have. And she said she liked it, and that was good enough for me.
Mine's a camera. He wants to start doing the videos, and I'm like, nah, I just, I'm good with the mic. I really don't want to be on the camera. No.
I hear what you're saying. But you know what? All the little blemishes, the little that we think we have. Oh, I don't like how I talk. I don't like how I move my hands, or whatever it is. No one else notices. You're your worst critic. 100%.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And people really do. Like for me in particular, I like talking to people and seeing them. I can for some reason remember what you say more than just being on, because I did a couple of podcasts which I couldn't see the people. And it was just weird. I didn't really remember it as much as I remember it if I see you. So a lot of people are more visual, and they learn more visually. So, yeah, it's definitely a little thing to get over. You're beautiful. Your husband's right next to you.
Thank you.
Just try it.
I concur, baby. Thank you, Julia. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful week.
Yeah, and then just email me, and we'll set up getting Gina one.
Okay, great. It may be a little.
Who is your audience? So I can. Yeah, whenever. Whenever.
What were you going to say?
So I can give them an idea of like who your audience is. Because he always asks me, and half the time I'm like, I'm not sure.
A little bit of it.
Well, it's
a little bit of everything, really.
It's quite a mixture from the analytics that we can tell, and it's like say 30 from early 30s to say early 50s, and it's a decent mix of men and women as far as I know. And we go through times where there's plenty of emails. We go through times where there's no emails. We go through times where the listeners email us, and there's ongoing
stuff
help to improve. But I would say probably from 30 to 50 is that particular range that we have.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome, very good. Well, so good to talk to you again.
Good to talk to you.
So
Thank you, my
I'm glad
friend.
that your internet went out. All right.
It definitely worked out well. I mean, fantastic.
Yeah. Like that's why I always teach the kids. I'm like, if something bad happens, I mean, that's the book. That's our Cannolis Exploded book. Something bad happens, how are you going to respond to it? Just a funny story this morning. So we are our family is the choir at church, and our music teacher is the music director, and the organist, the husband, he's German. No, he's Russian. I'm sorry, I always say that. He's Russian. He's probably in his 60s. And he is when you say he is such a wise person, unbelievable. I mean, I'm talking like he was tortured by the KGB. He has a story to tell, an amazing story to tell. but he's an opera singer. And so when I say he's incredible, I really mean it. Now, the book was left in the outside building. And so church is about to start. I'm talking like 1 minute. The priest put his hand up, ready to go. He didn't have his book. And so the wife is freaking out. She's like, I gave it to you. I don't know what. I gave it to you. I know I handed it to you. You must have put it down. He goes very calmly in his Russian accent, I understand, but what are we going to do? And so my kids, I gave him my booklet. I'm like, you can use mine. He said, okay. And he took it. And I thought, well, that's how I want to react. When something's like going completely wrong, we have all these excuses, not excuses, but we're trying to figure out why it happened.
Yeah.
What's the plan? I have 30 seconds to create the plan. What are we going to do? And I said, I got to remember that story.
That is a great story. Yes.
You know? We don't need to know why it happened. What are we going to do about it right now? I have 20 seconds left. Here's the music. Thought, okay. Can't forget that. So,
that is a great story.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Take care. Have a great Sunday.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank
you.
You
do the
you
same.
Too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All righty. Bye.
The podcast. How good do you want your life to be?
You gotta live on purpose, for a purpose.
It's truly about becoming the best version of yourself that's possible. This is Man vs. Marriage, the podcast.